and gentlemen, welcome to today's episode of Beyond the Tech. I am Neda Maria Kaisumi, your host, and honored to introduce our distinguished guest, Mr. David Walker, a man of integrity, expertise, and unwavering commitment to public service. Mr. Walker served as the seventh Comptroller General of the United States and led the Government Accountability Office from 1998 to 2008. With decades of experience in government accountability, fiscal responsibility, and economic policy, he has been a leading voice in tackling the nation's financial challenges. His career spans the public and private sectors, and he has consistently advocated for responsible governance, fiscal reform, and transparency in leadership. Beyond his service as Comptroller General, he has played a pivotal role in educating policymakers and public about the urgent need for long-term financial sustainability in the US government. His insights have been featured in top publications, and he continues to be thought leader on economic and governance issues. Today, we have the privilege of tapping into his vast knowledge and experience. Join me in welcoming highly respected Mr. David Walker to the show. So thank you for joining this call. I wanted to know, based on your experience, what are the key elements of successful public and private partnership? How can public-private partnership be designed to address urgent challenges like school shootings while ensuring accountability and measurable results and efficient resource allocation?
Well, first, in any enterprise, you want to be able to determine what are you trying to accomplish, how do you measure success in outcome-based terms. And I think obviously to the extent that you're talking about school shootings, our objective should be to avoid them, period, okay? And the question is how best to go about doing that, and what's an appropriate division of responsibility between, the individuals, the local level, typically the school boards, if you will, and the state and federal government level. I think you can expect that a lot of the execution will be done at the local level. Some of the funding might end up coming from state and federal level to try to be able to facilitate it. My wife used to be a teacher for part of the time. My daughter is a teacher now. And so it's an issue that they've had to be concerned about, and I obviously am as well, given my relationship to them. So bottom line is, what are we trying to accomplish? How do we measure success? What are the actions that are necessary? What's the appropriate division of responsibility between the government, the private sector, and the individuals that are directly involved, meaning the teachers, the administrators, and the students?
Yeah, thank you. So the next question I have is that how do you think a small research organization like Bloom Aegis, that is our company, can energize collaboration with publicly funded initiatives aimed at reducing school shooting that can incorporate with Trump administration?
Well, the real key question is that what is your comparative advantage? In other words, what tools, technologies, and/or methodologies do you have that you believe might uniquely position you to be able to identify, potential situations and/or resolve situations, and then how can you end up bringing that to the attention of the appropriate local, state, and federal officials that they can consider it in connection with actions that they believe are appropriate in order to reduce and hopefully eliminate school shootings.
Well, our aim is actually to do live data monitoring, which is not happening as today because a lot of schools record the data both from audio or video detectors or other systems, and it just remains in the school without being processed. So our aim is to do this live data monitoring to get something through AI. But with our AI-driven approach to school safety, we're mindful of privacy and ethical consideration, of course. So what advice would you give us to ensure transparency and build trust with the public and educators and policymakers?
Well, obviously, there has to be restrictions on who has access to and can use the data and the information. Okay, that's critical. That's very similar to what happened in the federal government dealing with security clearances, right? I mean, only certain individuals have access to the data to be used for public good. So that obviously is an issue. One of the issues I'm not sure of, Nita, maybe you can help me. Are you trying to prevent, or are you trying to deal with the situation if it occurs or after it occurs? That's get a little clarity on that.
Our ultimate aim is actually to prevent, because there are some certain patterns that we can follow up through the data and understand, okay, this particular person can be aggressive or get involved in a school shooting. So our ultimate goal is to prevent.
And I think, quite frankly, one of the things that needs to happen in that regard is there needs to be more training in addition to technology to try to be able to help teachers and students look out for for certain things that might be indicative of a person who could engage in those types of activities, if you will. Obviously, there are other steps that can be taken to try to reduce the risk with regard to school resource officers, with regard to hardening the facilities, with regard to other matters, if you will. But I think training and technology is a big part of it.
You got exactly what we have in mind. My next question is, our mission is to use advanced technology, as I said, to save lives in the schools. So what role do you think cutting edge technology like AI can play in shaping a safe future? And how can influential voices like yours help and amplify this message?
Well, AI has a lot of potential implications for positive and also areas that we need to be concerned about to make sure it's not abused. But I think, being able to gather this data and to be able to analyze this data, using AI technologies is something that then I think has to be fed back to the kind of training and other activities that are necessary to reduce the related risk. And so to me, it's a tool. It's not an end in and of itself. It's something that can be used to help inform and improve other types of activities that are actually likely to reduce the likelihood that it'll occur.
Yeah, that's absolutely it's going to be a tool. Well, Mr. Walker, when comparing the regulatory framework of the US and the Europe, for example, Norway, where I locate, with no school shooting for the last 20 years in Norway, what can US learn or change to increase public safety and reduce the school shooting? Do you have any personal idea on how to reduce the school shooting?
Well, frankly, the gun laws are probably a lot different in our country than they are your country. And by the way, your background doesn't look like Norway to me, but that's okay. And especially this time of year. But in any event, no, I think part of it is the difference in the culture. Part of it is the difference in the gun laws. Okay,
Yeah.
and so I think in our country where we have the Second Amendment, okay. I think there do need to be changes. For example, my personal view is that you shouldn't be able to purchase a firearm, unless you're a certain age. Okay, and right now that age is too young in my view. More needs to be done to be able to tighten up the sale of weapons even to legal people to be able to close a lot of loopholes that exist. I think more needs to be done to be able to create school resource officers in the various schools and to harden the buildings to a much greater extent. I think screening is necessary. Technology can be part of the screening mechanism that can be used. So I think there's a number of things, but there are big cultural differences between our two countries, although they're both beautiful countries.
They are, absolutely. And last but not least, I'm thinking that AI technology is absolutely expensive, especially for researchers like us that want to start from scratch. So, what are the funding possibilities that you think exist out there, and we can just, get hold of it and try to do something and impact the future?
Well, the answer is once you end up developing, a product, okay, that can be helpful, then it's a matter of getting it, in front of the right people who are actually the decision makers, to be able to demonstrate how they can, help enable the type of actions and activities that are necessary to reduce the incidence of school shootings. Fortunately, they don't happen that often, uh, but they shouldn't happen at all.
Exactly. Even one life is too much, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Well, I would say thank you so much for your time. You really treasure it, and it was very. I can't express my feeling that how pressure it was this time with you and getting your idea and view on such an important project for us like a school shooting.
I hope I was helpful. It's not my primary area of expertise, but I do have a wife and a daughter that are in the teaching business. So take care.
Absolutely. Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye bye.
Bye.